Hello, boys and girls. We are going to be starting topic 13. It is going to be a continuation of working with fractions. We've spent a lot of time looking at what a fraction is, what it represents. We've looked at equivalent fractions. We've looked at improper fractions. We've looked at mixed numbers. We've looked at adding and subtracting, all those types of fractions as well. So we are going to, the last concept we're really going to kind of look at is how
When
to
you try
multiply
your
fractions
best but you
and
don't
other simple fractions in fourth grade.
succeed.
We do not in fourth grade look at
When
dividing
you get
fractions. So
what
this
you
will be the
want
last
but not what
operation
you
we'll learn in fourth grade
need.
with fractions.
When you
It's
feel
going to get
so
into a lot
tired
more.
but you can't
So if we look
sleep.
at um, some of the vocabulary that we need to know for topic 13 is we have our decimal points, and we've been looking at those when we were doing our science, our measurements. So we're going to look at really what that decimal truly means and how it relates to fractions. We're going to look at decimal place values. We're going to look at tenths and hundredths, okay? And then we're also going to look at what unit fractions are. And the unit fraction is when the numerator is a 1, okay? It does not matter what the denominator is, but the numerator is a 1. And that is actually the vocabulary that we are going to focus on for these couple lessons here for 13.1 and 13.2. So we've Khalil and Mara were working on their math homework. Khalil had written a description of 3/4 as 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. And if you remember way back at the beginning of topic 12, that was when we decomposed and composed fractions. Mara looked at it and said, I think you can use multiplication there. Remember how we learned that 2 plus 2 plus 2 is the same as 2 times 3? Wouldn't it make sense that 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 is the same as 3 times 1/4? So they want to know, what do you think about her observation? Well, when we first, way back in September, first came together, we looked at multiplication as repeated addition. So we could say 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals 6. But to shorten this up, we used to say, well, multiplication is a shortcut. We still get 6, it's just less writing. So what she's saying is 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 is equal to 3/4 because we add our three numerators, denominator stays the same. What she's saying is taking these 3/4, because there's 3 of them, and doing the same thing we just did up here, and saying you still end up with 3/4. And this is, in fact, a correct observation, okay? In multiplication, you take this whole number and you multiply by the numerator. Denominator still stays the same. So we do end up with 3/4. Let's take a look at the next slide here to explain this a little bit better. So it says here, it says we have our strip of 3/4. It's the same problem, okay? So if I was to color 3/4 of the strip, okay, we have 3 1/4 pieces, okay? And I take that 3, so I have my 3 times that 1/4, so we get our 3/4, okay? It would be like if I said, what is 3 fraction strips? If you take 3 1/4 strips and lay them together, you would tell me that you had 3/4, just like we did over here, okay? All right. So here's our unit fraction that I told you we were going to focus on. When we were adding our 1/4 together, it was 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. We're counting by fourths. So therefore, this is going to be where it gets a little bit tricky because we're counting by fourths. So we have 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, okay, 4/4. I could keep going, 5/4, and so on. These are called our multiples, right? So here's our 3/4. So we could say 3/4 is a multiple, just like it says here, of 1/4, okay? It's just like if we counted by fives, 5, 10, 15, 20. These are all multiples of 5, okay? These are all multiples of 1/4, okay? The unit fraction describes the one part of the whole, and that's the concept of the repeated addition, okay? All right, let's take a look at another problem here. So they want us to draw a picture and write an equation to represent 4 as a multiple of 1/3. So they already kind of gave us here the answer. But I want to take a look at the picture to see how they got to this. They're saying that 12 times 1/3 equals 4. And I'm going to show you how they get to that in a couple different ways. One using the picture, one using numbers. So they're saying that we have 12 1/3. This would be like saying I could write out 1/3. And I'm not going to do it, but I could do that 12 times. Or I can shade 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 1/3 fraction strips. Because I know I'm working with thirds, I'm going to make a little mental note up here. 3/3 is equal to 1 whole. So I'm going to switch to a different color to kind of make this a little more visual. Here is 1 whole. Here is another whole. Here is another hole. And there's another hole. So there is where our 4 comes from. Okay? Now, if we switch to a different color, I'm going to show you how the same concept works with numbers. So if you remember on the first slide, I said when we multiply the whole number by the numerator. So here's my whole number. Here's my numerator. 12 times 1 is 12. My denominator stays the same. So I really end up with 12/3. We call that an improper fraction, if you remember from topic 12. Okay, that when the numerator is greater than the denominator. We turned that into a mixed number by dividing. Okay, so 12 divided by 3. 3 goes into 12 4 times. 4 times 3 is 12. Subtract and get 0. We still end up with 4. Okay? So either way, we get to our original answer. So we proved that 4 is a multiple of 1/3 because if I count by 1/3, I will eventually hit 4. All right. Let's do one more problem together before you get to your practice problem. So they want to know how much tomato juice is needed for a group of 4 people. Okay, for a group of 4 people, if each person gets 1/3 cup of juice. How much is needed if they get 2/3 cup of juice? Okay, so we're going to take a look at this. Okay, we're going to start with just the 1/3 for right now. Okay, because I'm going to take a quick pause. On your practice sheet, you're going to be solving how much they would get if they have the 2/3 cup. So together, we're going to do the 1/3. You will be doing the 2/3. So I'm going to come back to here, circle our cubes. They want to know how much is needed if each person gets that. I'm going to draw a little bit of a picture here. So we know there's 4 people. So I'm going to take my group. I'm going to make my 4 people. Okay, each of these boxes is my 4 people. Each person is going to get 1/3 cup of juice. Okay, so they want to know how much juice they need. Okay, they want to know how much tomato juice. So if you look here, we have 1/3 4 times. So 4 times 1/3. So I'm going to take that whole number, I'm going to multiply it by my numerator. 4 times 1 is 4. My denominator stays the same. Now we have